Hello and welcome to today's episode of Dream Business, Dream Life. Today we're diving into a phrase I know you'll have heard before, maybe a phrase you've even tried to live by. And that phrase is fake it until you make it. Now, let me tell you right now, right at the beginning, I don't believe in it. I never have, and I never will. And in this episode, I'm going to tell you why having that mindset is not only unhelpful, but actually holds you back for building a business and a life that feels truly aligned. Now, if you've ever felt like you need to pretend to be more confident, more successful, more ready than you really are, this episode is totally for you. So let's get real. Most people don't choose to fake it because they want to lie. That's not the case. They fake it because they feel like they're not enough. They're not enough as the person they are. Maybe they're not experienced enough, not qualified enough, not polished enough. And somewhere along the line, you get that message that says, in order to be taken seriously, I need to act like I'm already there. It's rooted in fear. Fear of being judged, fear of failing publicly, failure of not being respected. Because we live in a world where highlight reels are everywhere. Everyone's showing their after and even their before and after, but rarely they show that during, the messy middle bit. So we start to think that if I show my messy middle bit, people aren't going to trust me. They're not going to buy from me. They're not going to take me seriously. And that's when we start to put this mask on. And that's why it feels safer in that moment to fake it. But what does it even mean to fake it till you make it? It means pretending, acting like you've got it all figured out, even when you don't. It's putting on a version of yourself you think that people want to see. And the problem with that, it is exhausting. When you're faking it, you're living out of alignment. You're constantly questioning yourself. You're afraid people are going to find out that you're not the person that you're pretending to be. And so instead of building real confidence, you're just building this mask, this fake version of you. And you probably don't like this person. And here's the twist. Faking it doesn't actually speed up your growth. It actually slows it down. Because when you're pretending to be further along the line than you actually are, you're not going to ask for the help you need because you're telling people you're already there. You're going to avoid learning the basics because you're busy trying to look further along in your journey. You're busy trying to look like an advanced business owner. You say yes to things that you're simply not ready for, not because you want to stretch yourself, but because you don't want anyone to see where you're really at. So instead of building this strong foundation in your business, you're building something that's really fragile basics built on really shaky ground. And do you know what happens long term when you do that, when you build a fragile structure on shaky ground? Long term, that will always crack. And when it cracks, that's when the burnout happens. That's when the doubt you already have starts to get louder. Because deep down, you know you skipped steps that you needed to take. And now you're going to feel even more like an imposter than you did before. And it gets harder and harder to maintain this fake you as your audience starts to grow because now you have to keep this act going because you've been pretending to be this person for so long. It's too late to change your mind now. So let me be really clear. You do not need to pretend to be someone you're not in order to grow into the person you want to become. Because let's play this game a little bit longer. You're pretending to be a person. Then the oopsie moments start to kick in. The moments where you forget what you're supposed to be pretending to be, just for a split second, you let down your guard and you say or do the wrong thing. People hear that. And over time, the more these little oopsie moments start to come out, the more that people are going to start to doubt your integrity. And the growth you thought you'd get would start to stop. And in time, that growth will decline because now nobody trusts you anymore, even when you're no longer pretending, because they have seen you say things that previously you'd contradicted. So, what should you do instead? It's all well and good saying don't pretend, but what should you do instead? As you want people to believe in you, right? You want people to actually buy off you. My answer, you need to be honest. You need to take people on the journey with you. You need to stop faking it and instead believe it's possible. Set the intention and show up with integrity. You don't have to fake confidence. You have to build it. You have to build it brick by brick through action, repetition, and reminding yourself that you're capable even when you're scared. When you set an intention, for example, you say, I don't know, I'm learning how to become a coach. I'm stepping into my next level as a business owner. I'm going to show up even when it's messy. You're giving yourself permission to grow without already pretending you're there. It's not about lying to yourself or your audience. It's about believing in where you're headed and aligning the actions that you take to match that belief. Because if you pretend for too long, do you know what might happen? You might actually start to believe your own lies. And then the actions you take won't be the right ones because you'll be taking actions based on where you are telling people you are, but you're not really there. Let me give you an example, personal example. When I started this podcast, I absolutely wasn't ready. I set an unrealistic deadline to say, you're launching this podcast in 2 weeks. I didn't have everything figured out. I didn't have the perfect setup, the biggest following. I didn't even have a clear strategy. Pretty much didn't have any strategy. But what I did have was the belief that I could make it happen. So I set the intention by putting that post out there on social media to say, I'm launching a podcast on this date. And then I told people that I was winging it. But I told people I was winging it by acting like someone who believed in their vision. I did believe in that vision. It wasn't an act. That's probably the wrong choice of word. But what happened is people bought into that. They supported it. They cheered me on. And it was that that kept me going. It was that that got this podcast live. And there's a big difference between me pretending I had it all together and getting the podcast out there because I knew I was going to make that happen anyway. I just winged it. But I took people on that journey with me because people don't connect with perfection. They actually connect with the truth. And when you lead with honesty, growth, and a real grounded belief in your future, that's when you start to become magnetic. That's when people want to spend time with you. That's because people start to believe what you say and they absolutely love watching you grow. And this doesn't mean that people aren't going to work with you, even if you're at the start of your business journey, because you're always going to be ahead of your ideal client, regardless of what stage in your journey you are at. There is always stuff that you have got that you are going to learn. So you're not going to learn, you're going to teach to your ideal client. So it won't stop people buying from you. And hand on heart, do you buy into someone who always says nearly sold out when you see they never have any engagement on any of their content? And the answer is probably not. They're trying to fake it until they make it by saying, I'm launching all of these sellout offers. But we know they're not because everything else is not matching up to that, not matching up to somebody who is actually selling out offers. But who you do buy into is somebody who is standing there saying, I am working hard to make this happen. This is what is going to happen. It might not happen today, but it is going to happen. And when it comes to you making that buying decision, you're going to buy into the person that you feel is open and honest. as you're going to trust that they can deliver the thing that they say they are going to deliver because you know they don't fake anything else. So if you're feeling that pressure to fake it, here's what I want you to do instead. First of all, I want you to ask yourself, what version of me am I wanting to become next? Then I want you to set the intention. What energy do I want to bring into my business right now, today? And then finally, I want you to take one aligned action, something that stretches you, but doesn't force you to be someone you're not. You don't have to know everything. You just have to trust that you're capable of figuring that out. And then you have to actually go and do the thing, take the action. So let's ditch the faking, let's ditch the mask, and let's grow into our future self with belief, intention, and action. Because that's how you create a dream business and a dream life, not by pretending, but by becoming. Don't fake it until you make it. Just go and make it instead. You're not behind. You're building something real, and you don't need to fake it. You just need to trust yourself. So until next time, keep dreaming big and keep showing up as who you really are. Thank you for listening. I will see you next time.